Well, hello, traveler. What brings you to the catacombs of this downtown Minneapolis apartment? What is that? You're looking for potions? Well, you can't handle my potions. No one can. They're not fit for a beast, let alone a man. But while you're here, you mustn't let your time be wasted. I encourage you to visit the upper realm. Find the one who goes by the name Vesteban, for he will tell you of a bard's college that hails from Germany and releases some of the most beautiful music you've ever heard. But be wary, it is a dangerous journey, full of many perils. Be safe, traveler, and beware.
Hello everyone, and welcome into another episode of Vesteban's Blood Box. I heard that you got to talk with Gustav, the being that lives in the basement of our apartment. What a character that person is. Let me guess. He started talking about potions before you even said anything to him. Huh? Am I right? Yeah, dude's always on about his potions that are too strong for you. You know what his potions are? They're these little vials, and they're filled with Dr. Pepper. Dude's been trying to pay rent to me in the last 3 months with these little vials of Dr. Pepper. So yeah, don't be too concerned about them being too powerful. Anyways, he's been begging to do a Dungeon Synth video for a while, so I went ahead and put him on for this one. But speaking of which, that's what we're doing today. Another Dungeon Synth video. Really excited about it. It's been a while since I've done one, and I'm very excited about this one today. So the one we're doing is actually highlighting a label, and we're going to talk about some of the releases from this label. And the label is, and pardon my pronunciation, I think I'm getting it close, Uralte Herrschaft Productions, located out of Germany. I actually recently received a nice care package with a lot of releases in it, and I'm really excited to talk about these. Now, how we're going to do it, because the individual from the label, who you might all know from their project, and I'm not sure if you which way you pronounce it, but it's either Murgrind or Murgrind. I've said Murgrind for a long time, so I'm going to pronounce it that way. But yeah, Murgrind sent me a lot of amazing stuff. So we're going to split these up into 2 videos, start with a section of albums, and then we'll do another video for the second half. But to start with, let's talk about Uralte Herrschaft Productions, again based out of Germany. Awesome to have a really great Dungeon Synth label over in Europe. They have some really great projects that are released just through them, and then they also do some, they get some projects from, do distribution over in Europe through other projects, some from here in the US and some from other places. But what's really cool about Uralte Herrschaft is there's some very personal touches with their label, and this is something I think that's really cool within the Dungeon Synth genre, and especially these labels, is because most of them start off, as just being fans of the genre, and then, do a lot to contribute to getting this music out there to us for the genre. And they'll include some really cool extra things. Uralte Herrschaft certainly doing that themselves. So I got a couple of these cool items with my package. So you can get collector's items with your orders. They can be random, and there's many different ones you can get. One of the ones I got with my package is called the Supreme Dungeon Synth Art Card. Supreme Dungeon Synth Art Card. Fantastic, looks really beautiful. So that was a really cool little extra item that came in with it. Really gorgeous artwork on it. Just a really cool addition. It's nice cardstock. Really do love the artwork. It's kind of dark and foreboding. But yeah, it's fantastic. One of the cool things you can also get, some other things, download codes for some albums might be included, but yeah, you get some random cool stuff. And then, they do other personal touches too, like for instance, one of the other items I got is a piece of art poster that is included if you purchase all of the physical formats available. So if you get all of the albums, you get the Soul of the Circle poster. which is basically like you're part of the exclusive group that you own all of the releases. So that's really cool. I think it's probably all the releases that are available at the time. But yeah, just kind of means you're in the inner circle with Uralte Herrschaft Productions, which is awesome. And as Mirgrind said, sort of just a thank you. You know, you're doing something to really support this label and help them keep going, and it's very appreciative. So, you know, my camera doesn't do very well with focusing close up, but it's got really gorgeous artwork on this. Really, really love it. See, I can kind of get an idea there. Sorry if it's not super clear. But yeah, these personal little touches. I love this kind of stuff. It's what's great with, you know, especially this genre. It feels like we're all kind of in it together. It's kind of a personal thing, like you're kind of in the club, you know what I mean? And of course, you know, you get the awesome stickers. Always got to have a good logo sticker to go with it. I really love this one too. Looks like it's got a rune on it. It's got the horns. So really amazing stuff. It's a really amazing label, to be honest. I had heard of them before, just kind of floating around the Dungeon Synth pages, but with this I've really gotten to dig into them, and they've got some amazing releases. Another thing worth checking out too is that Uralte Herrschaft does have a YouTube channel. It's called Supreme Dungeon Synth Art. Kind of bounces off the Supreme Dungeon Synth Art card, so you get the Supreme Dungeon Synth Art channel. So this is cool. Instead of it just being a channel where they just put up the albums that, you know, are released on the label, it's actually some extra stuff. So there might be some demos of some albums on there or some work. There's unreleased material on there. Also songs created just for the channel. I do believe Mirgrind, who is the main person behind Uralte Herrschaft Productions, does a lot of this work that's put on there. So really cool. Also great, as he mentioned, you know, there's some good ambient stuff if you're, you know, doing some meditation and you want some dungeon synths for that. That's on there as well. So just cool. It's kind of like a little corner of YouTube where you can go check out some really amazing unreleased stuff that's not out there anywhere else. Smart way to use YouTube too. So very cool. But yeah, awesome label. So let me get right into to some of the releases here. And as I said, with, you know, a lot of my pronunciation may not be great on some of these, so bear with me if I butcher it. But we're just going to start right off with the first album I heard, and I'm going to crank it up a little bit because it's actually the one we're listening to. So, let's see, Skringir? The name of the album is Nakabets. Swedish, so I'm sure I'm butchering that. But yeah, Swedish Dungeon Synth. Really beautiful artwork, if you can see it there. But beautiful painting. Looks like it's a mixture between a troll and a mer person playing a harp of some sort. So definitely it seems like there's some lore involved with this. Really fantastic album. This one is pure Dungeon Synth. It is probably, I mean, I would say this is what would be considered classic Dungeon Synth. You can kind of hear it in the back. Very orchestral, big. Definitely can hear, I would imagine, some Scandinavian influences on the music itself. There's even some classical elements with some of the songs. You can definitely tell, you know, that's in there in the mix of it being Dungeon Synth. Kind of what I was thinking too is with doing these albums is like, how would they fit on a journey? What part of the journey would these albums be? And I would say this one is anytime you are traveling and you're traveling through or between mountains and you've got these massive mountains beside you and just very epic and, you know, thinking about what's coming and things like that, or maybe even starting the journey and those first steps on it. This one would definitely fit with that well. So really fell in love with this. You're going to hear me say that a lot. And I'm not just saying this because I'm reviewing this label. I loved every single thing that Uralte Herrschaft sent me. I genuinely did. And I'll say this too. I meant to mention this. So how I'm doing it is the first albums I'm talking about here are the ones I didn't know anything about, except for one that you'll find out at the end. But I've never heard of any of these projects before, so this is a first time listen on all of them. The second set of albums that I'm going to talk about are albums that I had heard of before but hadn't really given a listen, but I'm more familiar with those, so that'll be the second video. But yeah, Skringir, however you say it, fantastic. Traditional Dungeon Synth. If you're into the traditional stuff, you will love this. And moving right along, Valscharuhn, I think is how you say it. 7 Wonders of the Ancient World. So this one I'm not sure where this project is from, but some great artwork, definitely an old etching it looks like there. I would also say this one is also traditional Dungeon Synth. a little softer around the edges, not quite as epic sounding. It's a little more withdrawn, a little more delicate, but also a little darker in its sound. Something that I personally like quite a bit. I like my music to be a little bit darker, so I really dug this one. Also has more ambient elements, not quite as orchestral, but don't think ambient like really droning on or anything like that. There's definitely still melody and all that going on, just a little more withdrawn. This one, I would say, talking about that kind of journey thing, this is the one where you're in the cold, wet, dark dungeon. This is very much that style of Dungeon Synth. Maybe in traditional in that vein of Dungeon Synth. So I think it's kind of what drew me into it also, why I really liked this one. But definitely check this out. Again, Valscharuhn. As always, we'll have links to all of this at the bottom, but really fantastic release. Moving right along, Throne of Knowledge was the next one that came about here. So this is one of the first ones as I was going through these projects. I knew Mirgrind was behind the project Mirgrind. Didn't realize they were also the head person of Uralte Herrschaft Productions. And as I started going through these releases, it's amazing. So Mirgrind does a lot of other projects other than Mirgrind, side projects, if you will. And they're all fantastic, surprisingly all different too. Sometimes you have one artist that kind of, they do different projects, but it all starts kind of sounding like the same. Not the case with Mirgrind. They are all distinctly different projects and fantastic. So Throne of Knowledge being one, the album is called The Awakening. So this is also Germany, of course. So this one is definitely more soundscape oriented. Again, a little further in that ambient sound with still some melodies going on. Very beautiful music. Talking about, like I was saying with the other ones with the journey, this one's more like ethereal. If you've sort of souls left the body and you're in this ethereal space, or maybe an elvish kind of place or something like that, I don't know. But very beautiful album, very calming, a good one to put on if you're doing some meditation or something like that. I think this would be great. So one of the first of many of the Mirgrind projects, fantastic album, definitely one worth checking out. Favorite phrase? Moving right along, this is the album. Listening through these, I fell head over heels for this album. I am going to say, before having heard a lot of these other ones that are in the same package, this might be up there as one of my favorite Dungeon Synth albums, maybe in my top 5 of all time. Really fell in love with this. This is another side project from Mirgrind. So Draped in Shadows, the name of the album is, and in the Autumn Night, Black Castle Rose. So what's funny about this one is when I listened to it, I didn't really look up a lot of information on any of these projects before listening to them. I looked it up afterwards. And when I was listening to this, I was like, this is vampire music. That's what it sounds like. And I've seen on Facebook with the Dungeon Synth stuff, they talk about vampiric Dungeon Synth and things like that. I'm not real familiar with it. I didn't know if it was a real thing or a joke. I don't know if this would technically fall into that or not. Like I said, I don't know much about it. But if there was a, vampiric Dungeon Synth appears to be a real thing, I would say this has to be one of the king albums of it. It's just perfect, really satisfies a lot of different things for me. So you have that sort of, I think, kind of gothic vampire vibe going on, reverby pianos, very reverby sound, like you're in a big castle, dark, and it's funny talking about this. It is actually, I was reading it after I listened to it. There's a story that goes kind of along with the album. And basically the story is that it's about a castle that is only visible in autumn nights, and there is a vampiric prince who lives in the castle. So I was right in my assumption of it being vampire music. But saying that, if anybody watching this doesn't already know about Dungeon Synth, don't think vampires like 2000 goth type stuff or anything like that. Like, it's very classical feel, think old black and white movie kind of vampire style and things like that. Really fantastic stuff. Really fell in love with this. I know there's some vinyl out there too I think you can get, but the CD appears to still be available through Uralte Herrschaft Productions. So definitely a must-have if you've not heard of it. I'm really happy to have this one in my collection. So yeah, moving right along. Last one for this first episode of the Uralte Herrschaft Spotlight. This one's one I'm familiar with, and I'm sure you all are familiar with this album. I was very excited to have this one included because, surprisingly, I did not own this album yet. I have it written down because I always say this name wrong. Diplodocus, I think is how you say it. But the Dino Synth one, yeah. Dino Synth, Diplodocus, slow and heavy. Again, if you're a Dungeon Synth person, you are familiar with this album or have at least seen it floating around. So this one, I think this is a U.S. band. I think this Dungeons Deep is maybe who actually put this out, and it was, I assume it was picked up for distribution by Uralte Herrschaft. I think I might be getting some of that wrong, but yeah, Diplodocus, Dino Dungeon Synth. Surprising how well this works. One of those cool artwork too. The CD's in my CD player, but it's got some great old school dinosaur artwork in it. Love it. So yeah, this is one of those ones when I first heard it, I was like, how in the hell, Dino Synth, what the fuck is that, right? No, it's perfect. You still absolutely have the Dungeon Synth sound in there. It's exactly what the album title is. It's slow and heavy, and that's what it sounds like. You know, sort of chunky, heavy synth music. You've got the dinosaur growls in the background, very prehistoric sounding. Or I guess you could say, because we don't, hell, we don't have to know what prehistoric times sounded like. We can only assume or guess. So definitely takes like older movies versions of what prehistoric times were. Sort of that throwback on that sort of tape feel of the music. Very well done. What always surprises me how well this album fits in the Dungeon Synth genre, being a dinosaur-themed Dungeon Synth album. I love it. It's a favorite among everybody. I haven't heard anybody that actually doesn't like this album. So, obviously, want to pick up if you don't already have it in your collection. Seriously, every single one of these releases is fantastic, and I'm going to reiterate that I'm not just saying that because this package was sent to me. I really love all of these releases. Of course, this one, Draped in Shadows, is absolutely insanely amazing. Throne of Knowledge, really good if you want something a little softer, mellower to hang out to. Ambient stuff, looking for something like that's really, well, kind of ambient, but more true, like cold, dank dungeon. Then the Valscharuhn is for you. Skringir, really good traditional orchestral type dungeon synth. Again, one we're listening to in the background. Really great stuff. And yeah, then we finished off with Diplodocus, however you say it. So yeah, amazing label. Check them out. They've got other releases too. I know there's new releases coming out. I know Draped in Shadows because I freaked out when I listened to that one. I loved it and threw it up all over the Dungeon Synth pages and was informed there's a new Draped in Shadows album coming out. I think it's this year, so keep an eye out on that as well. Check out the label on Bandcamp. I'm going to put that below, and any other information that's there, be sure to check that out. Check out the YouTube channel. Just great stuff. Really, I was really excited to get all this. So, Murgrind, thank you, my friend. You are a fantastic person. Yeah, and we'll be back soon with video number 2 with some other albums and some that are very big that I guarantee you've heard of before, and if not, ones to check out. So, thank you all as always for watching. Really appreciate it. I hope you're staying safe out there, and don't go too far because we'll be back very soon with Uralte Herrschaft Productions video number 2.